Hi, I'm Candice Lemon Scott and I'm the author of 13 books for children and one for adults. Today I'm here to read you chapter 1 of my book Eco Ranger's Microbat Mayhem. It's part of a 3-book series and this particular title has just been shortlisted for the Wilderness Society's Environmental Awards for Children's Literature. Eco Ranger's Microbat Mayhem. Chapter 1. One more ride, Ebony pleaded. Ebony and Jay had only an hour left at the Super World theme park before it closed. The 2 eco rangers had spent all their free time caring for sick and injured wildlife, so the Conservation Centre had given them an annual pass to the park as a thank you. Jay grimaced, pulling his cap down over his face as though it would make him disappear. He hated scary rides, but Ebony loved them. She pulled her unruly brown hair back in a ponytail and dragged him towards the wild jungle ride. It took passengers through dark tunnels and caves with mechanical animals like snakes and giant spiders and jets of water spraying out. Come on, we wouldn't be the eco rangers if we didn't go on the wild jungle ride, Ebony said. Okay, just once, Jay sighed. I'm only going on it because you're my best friend, but I'm not sitting at the front. Ebony winked at him, delighted. When they got to the ride, she was disappointed to see it was closed. A grey steel fence was up around it, and a big billboard on the front read, "Nightmare Flyer, coming soon." Next to that sign was a smaller one on the gate. "Demolition site, do not enter." Oh no, they've closed down the jungle ride, Ebony said. The new one will be cool though, I guess. No way, it sounds terrifying. Do you want to get an ice cream before we go home? Jay asked as he leaned against the gate. Ebony didn't have time to answer. Suddenly the gate swung open and Jay fell flat on his face. Ouch, he mumbled to the ground. He pulled himself to his feet, his face and glasses covered in dirt. Ebony laughed. I guess the gate is now open. The sign says do not enter. Ebony stepped past Jay, ignoring him. This will only get us in trouble, Ebony. Jay wiped his glasses with his favourite Eco Ranger t-shirt and reluctantly followed her in. Ebony scrambled over tufts of overgrown grass and some scraps of metal lying around the empty entrance. She could see the dark, empty ride. There were artificial hollows and trees around it. It was spooky seeing the ride closed. As she reached a painted hollow, she heard a tick, tick, tick sound coming from the base of it. She stepped closer and heard the noise again. At that moment, Jay tapped her on the shoulder. She jumped in fright. We shouldn't be in here. It's giving me the creeps, Jay said. But there's something near the hollow, Ebony cried. Jay pushed his glasses against his nose and squinted. I can't see anything, he said. No, but listen, I can hear it. Ebony bent down, following the noise. She pushed blades of grass aside gently, revealing 2 tiny creatures. Look at this, she gasped. They were dark brown and hairless, and no bigger than her thumb. They each had small leathery wings covering their bodies, and a tiny furry head. Bats. But they weren't like the long-eared bats Ebony saw around her house. They were much smaller. What are they? Jay asked, crouching down next to her. Their tiny wings moved slightly as they made that chattering sound. Baby bats, she cried. And they're still alive. What shall we do with them? Jay asked. Ebony looked at the animals. They were so fragile. Leaving them for even a moment might be too late for them. She didn't know how long they'd already been without their mum. Their little tummies were sunken. Their wings looked dry like paper that could tear easily. Quick! She pulled Jay's cap off his head, placing it in his hands. We'll use this. Hey, that cap's special. I won it at the rugby finals last year, he cried. Please, it's for the baby bats, Ebony smiled. Jay nodded grudgingly. Just hold it still. The cap would be perfect for carrying them back. Now she needed something to pick the bats up with. The Eco Rangers had recently gone to a special wildlife talk. They knew never to touch a bat or any wildlife animal with their bare hands in case they were scratched or bitten. But what could she use to scoop them up? It had to be small and soft. I know, Ebony said. She ripped off her right shoe and pulled off her sock. Phew, you're going to kill them with that smell, Jay exclaimed. My feet do not smell. Ebony sniffed her sock and screwed up her nose. Well, not much anyway. It's the best we've got. She placed the sock over her hand like a mitten and looked at the tiny bats. Their little black eyes opened as though they knew the Eco Rangers were there to rescue them. She then very carefully placed her gloved hand over one of the bats, scooped it up and gently released it into the cap. She did the same with the other bat. One of the bats stretched out its wings, then bent them back in again. It was like it was wrapping itself in a blanket. The other one shook a little, then huddled in close together, like they were keeping each other warm. They're probably cold, Jay said, peering into the cap. They don't look very well, Ebony agreed. There are these little eggs on the bats too. Ew, Jay said, scrunching his nose. They had to get them the help they needed and quickly. But it was late. The wildlife hospital would be closing soon. Ebony got out her phone and sent an emergency message to the vets, Dr. Bat and Dr. Tan. I hope we can get them to the hospital in time to save them, she said. Me too, Jay agreed. And that's the end of chapter 1.